Samsung has finally released Android 13 update, which Samsung is calling the OneUI 5 update for your Galaxy Z Fold4. And if you have the S22 series, the Z Flip series, the S21 series, even the Galaxy Z Fold 3, 2, you get the Android 13 update. So what's new with this update? What do we get specific to the Galaxy Z Fold4? That's what I will be focusing in this video, going through some of the key OneUI 5 features that you would want to know when you're using your Galaxy Z Fold4 with that Android 13 update. If you are expecting new features to show up in the OneUI 5, then you might be a little bit disappointed. What Samsung has done is made much easier to access existing features. So for example, if I'm going to set up a wallpaper for my lock screen, now along with setting up the wallpaper, you can see I have options to customize the clock with the clock style that I want to choose, and then also the color I want to apply for the clock, along with the font of the clock that I want to use. And along with that, I can also resize the clock to my needs. And the other things that I can modify here on the lock screen is the notifications, which now I can choose to show icons, or I can switch to details. Of course, icons is much more better than the details, but you have the option to switch. And also, if you switch to details, you can control the transparency of how transparent the notifications should look, also control the text color, right? But other than that, these features of like changing the app icons, having a custom text on your lock screen, all of these things did exist before OneUI 5. What Samsung has done with OneUI 5 is made it much easier. Now you might be wondering, where did Samsung get this inspiration from? Well, lock screen customization in iOS 16 rings some bells, but nevertheless, I think this is a great update for Samsung phones. So now it's much easier for me to customize everything that I have on my lock screen, right? Once I'm done, and then that will save the lock screen settings. So now when I go to my lock screen, I will actually see that configured lock screen with all of the options that I did for the clock, the icons and the message coming up here, right? It's pretty cool. Now, along with that, the color palette, I always had the feeling that we were given a very limited set of color palettes to choose from. Whenever you have your wallpaper, all it does is it picks the colors from the wallpaper and then gives you a palette from which you can choose the system theme, how you want the system theme to be, right? With the OneUI 5, you get 16 color palettes that gets extracted from the wallpaper. So along with the 16 color palettes that you get, you also get the basic colors. So I think these options are great because now you get a variety of options to choose from, which previously was like 4 or 5. So this is indeed a big jump when you consider the options you get now for the color palette. So once you apply, now that color palette will be across the system. This next feature I'm going to talk about is my favorite OneUI 5 feature. So if you go into settings, and then you will find modes and routines. So this is very similar to, again, iOS 15 focus modes that Apple introduced with the iOS 15 version. Now Samsung has brought the similar version, what Samsung thinks would be the ideal way to set up focus modes in your Samsung phone. So you can see you already have few focus modes here: sleep, driving, exercise, relax, work. And all of these you can go in and customize the way you want. But let's go through how you customize by adding your own focus mode, so then you can turn on and use them, right? So when you tap on add mode and tap on custom, you get the option to give it a name. So let's say I'm going to give it a name reading, and then I can select a color and I can select the book icon. So now I know that this is going to be a mode for reading. Now, once I have created that mode, I can go set up other factors that affect how this mode is going to behave, right? So I can turn this mode automatically. The option I like is when an app is open. So for example, let me turn on that and select Kindle, right? Kindle is my preferred book reading app. So whenever the Kindle app is open, I want this mode to turn on automatically. That's what this says, right? I can also select a Bluetooth device. So if I connect my Galaxy Buds Pro or my other headphones, then I could switch to this mode. I can also select a time period. I can also select a place. So whenever I'm at the place or nearby, this mode would turn on automatically. Let's keep for now to turn on this mode when I open Kindle. I can also set up do not disturb mode settings, which is very similar to the do not disturb mode setting you have on your phone. And here's an interesting thing. I can restrict app usage, right? Now, this is very important for me because when I am doing something, I don't want to get distracted, right? So two things I usually do is turn on do not disturb mode, and then I have basically no notifications coming up, right? And then I restrict the app usage. And here you can see it selects some of the default system applications, but then gives you the option to select the other apps that you want to enable. So for example, here I do want to enable Kindle, and then I do want to enable my notes, right? And then that's it. Those are the only apps. So you can actually see 7, 10 apps here that will be enabled when you have the reading mode turned on, right? And then this is very interesting. I can change some of the system settings I have here, right? So for example, grayscale is a great option to have it turned on when I'm reading a book in Kindle app. Let me do that. Dark mode seems to be something I can have it turned on as well. I can have my eye comfort shield turned on. These are all great for reading books, right? So now you can see how this is getting slowly more powerful in terms of what you can do with this mode, especially the automation, right? And I can have the sound mode and volume turned down to mute. So a lot of options here that I can choose from, right? So now what happens is if I turn on this mode, you can see the phone turns to grayscale and the dark mode is on. But this is how the modes work, right? So there are several ways to turn on your mode, right? So what happens now is if I open the Kindle app, you should see the mode. Now the reading mode is turned on, right? And it says until Kindle is closed. So now if I close the Kindle app, you can see the mode gradually changes to normal mode, right? It takes a few seconds, but the mode is back. I can also go into my quick tiles, and here I have a tile for modes. I can tap on that, and then that will allow me to select a mode from the list I have, right? I can turn on the mode and turn off the mode right from the quick panel as well. Now, there is other option called routines, because what we saw now was modes and routines, and we saw the modes. There is this routines, right? These are automations. These happen when something happens on your phone, right? So if you tap on creating a new routine, you'll see that there is a trigger. So you have to tell what triggers this routine and then what you want to do with that routine, right? So for example, there are a lot of things here again, like specific time period, place. But the thing that I'm most interested is this mode. So this allows me to select a particular mode when particular mode is turned on. Like, what am I supposed to do? So let's say I want it to run when the reading mode is turned on. Now I want to do certain things, right? So for example, I can set a special watch face when I'm reading. So I want probably this kinetic digits watch face. So let's set that. And now I have the watch face coming up, right? And when routine ends, what am I supposed to do, right? That's a reverse action. I can again change my watch face. That's what this particular routine does. So now when I save it, right? And now when I go and turn on my reading mode, you can see my watch face right now is going to change in a few seconds to that watch face that we just set using the routines. There you go, it's now changed. How cool is that? That is the power of these routines that you have and the modes that you can build. So the next one, while we are in the settings, if you tap on notifications, you can see the notifications menu has been streamlined a bit, and there is a lot of things that have moved into the advanced settings, and the key things have been just made very clear for you to choose, right? And the app notifications is an interesting thing this time, because now here, while you can choose notification settings per app, the thing that was added here is the option to select where the notification will be delivered, in the lock screen and as a pop-up, right? So if I disable the lock screen for this 1Password application, then that notification will not be showing up on my lock screen. Instead, it will just show up in the pop-up. And if I do the other option where I do enable it in the lock screen but disable the pop-up, then I won't see it in the notification panel here, right? So this is a new option added in OneUI 5. Of course, instead of going through all the apps list you have in your app notification settings, you can open the notification setting for a particular app when you receive the notification. For example, here is a notification I have from the weather app. I can long press, and then I can either turn off notifications right from there or tap on settings, which will take me to the notification settings for that application. Another small change in the settings menu is this new thing called connected devices. Previously, again, these settings were available in many different places, and I'm glad Samsung has collated all of those and put them in a common section called connected devices. So now you can see all of the different Bluetooth devices and other options around how you go configure your watch and all of that available here, right? So this is a new optimization, I would say, done in OneUI 5 to streamline the settings menu. Now, if you are someone that wants to keep your device fresh, restart every now and then, clear up the memory and things like that, well, Samsung has always had very good options for that under the battery and device care section in settings. Now, what Samsung has done is it has enabled the option much easier so every user can access them, like the auto optimization feature that looks for when to restart your phone and keep it fresh. Let's say you want to send your phone for repair or just look at what's going on, like whether some software update is behaving really bad, then you can turn on this maintenance mode, right? This mode mostly is for when you send your phone for service, so it disables all of your apps that you have installed, and it only shows the Samsung apps that would come with your phone if you factory reset, right? So it's kind of a mode that doesn't allow anybody else to access your personal information, but it just gives the enough apps and other things that they want to access to repair your phone. Now in the camera app, we have few updates, a very small update I would say. If you go into settings, there's an option to add watermark to your photos. And you can choose either to show the model name, date and time as the text, so you can see a preview here. You can also edit that text so that if you don't want to choose the model name, you can just provide any name you want. And you can choose a font. You only have 3 options. And then you can choose the alignment, whether you want left, centered, or right. So sometimes this will be useful for people that do take photos and sell on other mediums, photo sites, or upload it to some site that you want to keep track of who took the photo, like you want to show that, you can do that using the watermark. So that's one option that's got added to the camera app. The other thing that got added is if you switch to Pro mode, and let's say there are a lot of settings here, the focus, and then if you go into the shutter speed, the ISO, right? Now you get a small information icon. When you tap on that, it gives you information about that setting. So this is a great thing that Samsung has done here, helping users understand what that setting is. So when you're using the Pro mode, you're not just fiddling with all the options. Rather, you can actually get to know what that particular setting is going to do and how it might affect the photo that you're capturing. Oh, of course, there is the new histogram available now. If you want to look at the levels of where your how your exposure levels are, you have the histogram available in the Pro mode as well. So those 3 updates, those are minor updates to the camera app. Multitasking. Well, there aren't many updates in multitasking because we already received a lot of great updates in the Android 12L that was shipped with the Galaxy Z Fold4 that corresponds to OneUI 4.1.1 update. So if you haven't watched my video on the tips and tricks for the Galaxy Z Fold4 that goes through a lot of multitasking abilities, I will link the video in my description. Make sure to watch it. But the thing that got added, or I would say the thing got fixed in OneUI 5, is if you go to your recent menu and you browse through the apps, and now if you hold an app and then you bring it to your home screen, you can actually drop the app and start a multitasking session right away from the recent screen. This was a bug earlier. It wouldn't allow you to open in dual screen, right? And now you can do that from the recent apps. The other thing that got added in OneUI 5 with respect to multitasking is, let's say we have Spotify here and I'm going to play a song, and now if you go into your recent app screen, you have the option to see that there is one active in background, meaning there's one active app running in background, and you will see that it is Spotify because it's actually playing music and it's running in the background, right? And you can stop right there the app, right? And then that will close the background activity. So if you have any apps accessing information in the background, if you go to your recent app screen, you should be able to see them here. So you can go and turn off or stop that particular app, or just stop every app, all the apps that are active in the background. Bixby Vision also got a small update in OneUI 5. Now let's say you have this particular flyer photo here. You have the Bixby Vision option, the icon that has the eye symbol. I can tap on that and then I get several options here. I can translate the text, I can select the text, right, and do a lot of things in the Bixby Vision. But I have to enter or tap that I button to enter into the Bixby Vision. Now, if you have an image that has text in it, you can see you get a text button in the image itself on the side. You can tap on that and then that will select all of the image text in the picture. Now I can simply copy, and you can select the message I want or select the text I want, and I can copy or I can select all and copy, right? So this is a minor update again, but a very useful one. This is a cool, useful feature, I think, in helping you identify who's calling quickly. So here's a contact, Apple, right? If Apple calls me, now what I can do is if I tap view more and go in the bottom, I have the option to have a custom call background. Of course, I can set a ringtone for every contact I have, but now on top of that, I can set up a call background, meaning now whenever the call comes from Apple here in this case, it will actually use this call background. So it's much personalized now with the who's calling and what background should I show for that. Okay, so now that we have covered some of the key OneUI 5 features, I think it's very evident that Samsung has focused on improving and simplifying some of the features for users in OneUI 5. So we don't have a lot of new features for the Galaxy Z Fold4 specifically because the OneUI 4.1.1, which you received when you bought your Galaxy Z Fold4, already came with some of those multitasking features that Samsung has just released as part of the OneUI 5 update for, say, the S22 Ultra. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about the update? Have you received the update? Have you installed it? Have you started using the modes and routines and other new features? Let me know in the comments, what do you think about it? Until next time, bye.